guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Connector. I am your connector, Ariel Levitt, and I am here to connect you to people that are doing really innovative things, that are making moves, that are taking chances, that are want to connect with others to create amazing opportunities and events and things and create more purpose in this world. So, I have a fantastic guest here today. You guys heard her aunt on the show, Geraldine. She was on one of the episode earlier this week, or earlier this month, I should say. But anyways, so she is, that's how we met, which is really fun. She was like, oh my gosh, you got to meet my niece. Like, you guys are going to just hit it off. And she was right. And love how connections happen like that, because that's the way the best connections happen, is when somebody sets you up and is like, thinks of you as like, oh my gosh, you guys need to meet and have a conversation. All right. So Erica, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. And once we met, it was just like instant, like everything, so easy and all the things. So I'm so excited to have you. Okay, so let's kind of like dive into it. And one of the things that I found fascinating about you right away is that you're like, I rock climb. And I'm like, wait, what? That is a little unusual.
Yes, especially in Florida.
Yeah. Like, so obviously it's indoor rock climbing because we don't have any sort of anything.
Nothing.
Except for Trash Mountain, which is the only mountain we have in Florida. Which I don't even know if I can, we're not climbing that thing.
We're not. No.
So, but you're not just a rock climber.
No.
You have done so many amazing things. And I think rock climbing, though, like really just shares how like challenging you like life to be. Like, you not challenge, you like to go through and just persevere through things.
Absolutely.
And so, okay, so let's talk a little bit about your corporate side of things before we get into the entrepreneurial side of things.
Okay, let's do it.
So you've worked yourself up and worked yourself through like up in your career.
Yes.
And so you're in construction, which is a very different area and male dominated. That you can truly say is an industry that's male dominated.
I would say that's definitely something it gets like a bad rep for, is that it's male dominated. I think over the past decade, it's definitely been changing and it's becoming more integrated and more women are getting involved. But definitely when I started, it was still mostly a man's world. I saw that as an opportunity, which is why I got into it to begin with. But yeah, it was definitely a whole vibe. Definitely, I did not know what I was signing myself up for, but I'm really glad that I did it because I got a really cool experience working with a lot of men all around me. And realistically, I really do love working with men. So it was really a really great decision that I made. And I learned a lot during that process, working in actual construction before I moved into the tech space.
Yeah, no, it's, I think I keep going back to rock climbing in you because I think that it has so many similarities and it's that challenge and it's like, let's see how to navigate through something and let's see which way we have to go in a different direction and rethink things. Mm-hmm. And, as you're climbing.
Totally.
And so you've been in the tech side of construction, which is a very,
it's very niche.
I don't even like really, like you've told me this like 10 times now and I'm like, wait, okay, so you do tech construction.
Right. Okay. So I'll give you the background.
Yeah.
So the story goes, I graduated with my bachelor's architecture, my master's in construction management. So when I came back to Fort Lauderdale, I started working for Moss & Associates, which is a local South Florida construction manager, general contractor. And I worked there for about 4 years. The last job I was on was the Icon Las Olas, which was the tallest building in Fort Lauderdale at the time.
What happened?
I think they actually just this past year, they built something a little bit taller, but it's fine. It's fine. That's still my claim to fame. I built the tallest building in Fort Lauderdale. And of course, on that job site, we worked out of a trailer. It was like a group of anywhere between the job, like 6 to 12 people. And I was the only woman on the job site. At first, people would walk in and they'd be like, hey, can you get me a cup of coffee? Or, hey, do you have my check? Either I'm an accountant or I'm some type of support. And I'm like, I'm actually, I'm going to manage your trade. So, and over time, people began to really build a lot of respect for me because I was also the document controller, did the glazing package, doors and hardware, waterproofing, pool and spa package, all of that. So when people had questions, they went to the document controller to get answers. And that's also the role that I played on that job. So with document control, I'm always looking for ways to do things more efficient, more effective, eliminate double data entry and, old processes, which construction is definitely not known for being the leading edge in technology. So I found this app. It was actually a friend of mine who used to work at Moss as well, started using it. I think he started working for that company. So he was like, hey, there's this really cool app. It came out around the time the iPad came out back in like 2012. And it allowed you to see all of your plans digitally. You didn't have to print anymore. You could see everything right on your iPad. You could bring it out to the job site. And you had all of the latest and greatest information right at your fingertips on an iPad. And it was cloud-based. So as soon as there was a change, it was uploaded in the office, everyone in the job site got it like immediately, which is like the number one way that things, there's a lot of like mistakes and a lot of cost that comes into it because things are getting built that are different from the latest update because there's a lot of lag. So like, oh my God, this is amazing. We don't have to print anymore. So I went to my PX at the time. Actually, he was my first client that I'm working with now as a consultant, like years and years later. So we'll get to that. But I basically walked into his office in the trailer and I said, hey, like, this is the future. We got to use this. We shouldn't be printing anymore. And he basically just looked at me and said like, oh, like, Erica, this is just how we do things in construction, And I knew he really wanted to use it. But it was just like, okay, we're going to use it, but you still got to do all of these old, antiquated ways of doing things. I was coming in on the weekend and sleeving in full-size drawings. It was so brutal. And at that point, I realized, I'm part of the problem and I want to be part of the solution. And a few months later, I basically made a life change. I called that company. They were a startup based in San Francisco and said, I don't care what role that you hire me for, sales, customer success, whatever, I want to work for you. So I'm getting goosebumps even just talking about it because it was such a life change for me. And I told my team I'm leaving. They were not super happy about it, as you can imagine. But it really felt like my heart was telling me this is something I needed to do. So I left. I started working for PlanGrid was the name of the company. They're a startup. And I started working in customer success. So I basically was a implementation consultant. I would travel all over South Florida, all over the country, in fact, all over the world eventually, where I would train GCs, subcontractors, owners, developers, how to use the app and how to implement it in their day-to-day process, which is literally what I did and what I was trying to do for my team. And it came full circle, Ariel, when I finally was able to come back to Moss. And they hired me to come back and teach them how to use the app, which was like, I was like so vindicated in that moment. But I loved it. And that's what I did. And then eventually I became a manager for that team and I moved my way up. And then Autodesk, a big corporate, I'm sure you've heard of AutoCAD. They have, manufacturing, design. They're really big into basically all of that tech. They acquired PlanGrid. So I went from startup to now working for corporate. So I was there for about 5 years and became a senior manager, managed a team of 20 plus people. I had 3 managers underneath me and they managed the people that would go out and train everyone, evangelize, as I say. And it was really amazing. I loved doing that. I loved the coaching and the mentoring aspect of managing. But at a certain point, I realized corporate just really isn't for me. So I made a big change and that's how we got here.
Yeah. And I love where you're going with this, with consulting.
Yes.
And you have found a specific niche. Yeah. We always debate about that.
Yeah,
right?
whatever.
A niche. And it's a niche.
It
you
is.
Say niche?
I think I do. Yeah, I think niche is the one I've adopted because I go back and forth as well.
There's no one's giving me a straight answer. I've asked all my guests.
Right.
And I'm like, is it niche or is it niche?
Yeah, I think it's niche.
Niche.
We'll go with that.
Niche sounds like bougie.
It sounds very bougie. Yeah. It's a niche.
It's a niche.
Yes.
A niche. Yeah.
I love it.
So you found a niche that really is specific, and any business coach would say to you, right? Like when you start a business, you have to be specific.
Right.
You can't cater to everybody. You can't. Otherwise, you're going to catch nobody. Right. When you cast your net too big, you're catching nobody.
Right.
But then if you cast your net too small, like very, very, very specific, some people go into like the most specific person ever.
Right.
And you're like, well, that's way too small. You have a very good size and a specific area that is needed. And clearly you found.
Totally. And what's really great about what I'm doing now as a consultant, since I launched Gem Consulting Solutions, is I help companies basically build workflows that standardize all of their tech that they have within their company. So if they have a tech stack, whether it's construction, I also work with a tech company as well. It's not specific to like the products that I used to, sell or be a part of and train. It's all of them. So my favorite thing to do is to look at something from like far away, and I can clearly see where there's inefficiencies and things that don't work together, and building that workflow and figuring out, okay, how do I get people behind this? Most companies, when they purchase tech, they're like, oh, we got to do this. This is, what the industry is kind of pushing us to do. And then they purchase it. They don't get training. They don't really understand how it interacts with the other software and products that they're using. And then their employees are just overwhelmed with all of it. And they don't really understand the best way and basically the way to get their ROI. Like, how do they get their return on their investment, and how do they get their employees to adopt it? Or else it's just sitting there, right? It's like, if you're not using your phone for what it's made for, it becomes a paperweight. And it's basically the same thing, right? So that's what I do with consulting, and I work with construction companies. I work with tech companies. There's a lot of things that I'm able to do now on my own because I have a lot more freedom, which is great.
Yeah. It's so fun. I am always in awe of people who take that risk. Like I was pushed into it. I didn't even know the difference, and you're choosing it.
Yes.
And to leave something that is secure and that is like, you're getting a paycheck, all the things, where your clients are coming from, whatever. You don't have to go, we're looking for clients. Like now you have to network. You're into networking now.
Totally.
And
that's how we met.
Yeah. You're like, this is a whole new beast. Like this is, and like, I only know networking. I don't know the other side of things. Right. So I am in awe. I'm in awe of you. And like how you're taking this on, and you're so relaxed about everything.
Does it look like that?
Well, you got me fooled.
It's all the meditation I do to keep myself just cool, calm, and collected.
It's important, but yes. I love it. And you're not fearful of it. And I'm going to bring it back to rock climbing because I just think rock climbing says a lot about who you are, because that's a lot of like moving past fear.
Absolutely. And it's something that I've incorporated. I'm part of a local foundation, SSL Suits, Stilettos, Heels, Lipstick Foundation, excuse me. And part of that is I have, this is my second year where I have a mentor. A mentee that I'm taking on. I'm her mentor. And when we first met, I just started rock climbing at that time. It was like maybe a couple weeks. And it's like, hey, this is something that I'm doing. It's a really fun hobby. And some of the goals that she has is she wanted to work on, building more confidence and finding more ways to meet new people, and also like the health aspects, like, maybe lose a little bit of weight, maybe get a little more healthy, move the body. I was like, this is perfect for rock climbing. And I brought her into it, and with the intention of really helping her with all of those things. Because at the end of the day, it's you and the wall. And you have to be completely present. And a lot of fears come up when you're climbing, whether it's fear of heights, you feel you're going to fall. You're not really confident in your ability to move. You might say in your head, okay, move your right arm, move your left leg, but the body doesn't work the way that you want it to. So it's building that resilience and building that confidence, like, oh, I can't do it. And then you do it, and you prove to yourself that you can do it. And it's so fulfilling, and it's instant. It's like that dopamine hit you get when you're just like, I'm on top of the world. It's amazing. And a lot of CEOs and founders, and like, I know like Steve Jobs was into rock climbing, like really, really prominent heads of companies. They're really into it because it's like, a Rubik's Cube for your body. And it allows you to build new neural pathways in the brain, solving problems. So you take that and you apply it in your day to day. So it just is such a beautiful way of like, working with like problem solving, right? That's what I do in my business. And then I'm able to use my body to do it on the wall. And it's just amazing. And I love it. And I recommend it to anybody who's looking to just change up the way that you see things and get really more in tune with your body.
I was going to say, do you have like your aha moments when you're rock climbing? You're like, oh my gosh, this is what's going to do next. Or this is how I got did you get your name, like your business name when you were rock climbing or anything? Or like
No, that's a good question though. Aha moments. I think for me, it's proving myself right. And I was going to say proving myself wrong, but it's proving myself right. Cause I'm like, I know I can get to the top. It's just a matter of how. And sometimes you have to, we call it take, when you take a break against the wall, like you say, take, and you like literally just hang there and you just kind of strategize like, okay, how am I going to do it? I know I'm going to do it, but how am I going to do it? And then, you know, you might go for it. You might fall, you might go, you might fall. And then the third time you do it and you show yourself you can, and you get to the top and you're like, I knew it. And at first it's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And then you prove yourself wrong. And then the more you do it, you start to build that self-reliance and you start to build that confidence, because you know, it's just a matter of when, you know, it's not a matter of like, if you're going to do it or not. But that's something that's, you know, I've built over the past 6 or 7 months that I've been rock climbing.
It's only 6 or 7 months.
It's
oh my gosh.
I know.
I was like, I thought it was like years.
I know. I was introduced to it by a really good friend of mine who was like all about it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, sounds great. You know, I've done rock climbing in the past, maybe like a carnival or like Renaissance fair or something like that.
And those walls are like only...
Yeah, like, they're not very tall.
Are they like 50 feet? Or
the ones at my gym are, I think, 65 feet.
Yeah. But the ones that like at the carnival fairs
they're
are
like 20, 30 feet. Yeah, they're like little. They're small.
They're so scary.
But yeah, he introduced me and I was just like, you know, at the time I had long nails and like, you know, I have no nails now. And I used to have really long, had like nice manicures all the time, and you can't do that. You have to cut them completely short. So that was like, I had to really just, okay, fine, I'm cutting my nails. But getting up on the wall, all of your issues in life, all of the thoughts that go through your head, all of those, like, you know, the monkey on your back, the chatter, it all goes away. Because you are going to fall if you are not present in that moment. So it's like a little experiment that you get to put yourself through. And the more you do it, the more you prove yourself right, the more you gain the confidence, the more you feel that instant satisfaction. I mean, you can relate it to getting like a like on Instagram or on Facebook. You get to the top and like, there's nothing better than that. And then you come down, you do it all over again, and you change, you know, your routes, and it makes it more challenging, and you just keep going and going and going. So yeah, I really, really love it. And if anybody here listening would like to come to Project Rock, I have a guest pass. You can come with me. I'm definitely planning on taking you, Ariel.
Coming. Yes, I'm going.
It's amazing. It's really, really great. I love, for me, it's all about like mind, body, and spirit. It's doing something for your mind, for your body, and for your spirit. And this, for me, rock climbing is all of them. It really is. It includes all of it for me. It's like it's a spiritual experience when you're able to really like, you know, climb all the way up to the top and prove yourself right in that way.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to talk a little bit more about this and other things.
Yes.
As soon as we come back from our commercial break. Injured in a car accident, on the job, or just playing a game of pickleball? MedAmerica is the #1 clinic in physical therapy, occupational therapy, and chiropractic needs, specializing in sports, post-surgical, and orthopedic conditions. Located in Deerfield Beach, MedAmerica is here to help you get back feeling better than you did before. Visit their website at medamericarehab.com. That's med, M-E-D, America, A-M-E-R-I-C-A, rehab, R-E-H-A-B.com. Mention the connector to receive 10% off any self-pay service. Today's podcast is sponsored by Pod Populi. Have you ever thought of starting a podcast? Not sure where to start? Pod Populi makes it easy. With over 20 podcast studio locations nationwide, they host over 100 podcasts. Pod Populi is a full-service podcasting studio with video and audio production. They help you put your idea into the best podcast. Visit podpopuli.com to book your time to talk to an expert on getting started. That's pod, PODPOPULI.com, and mention the connector for 10% off your first year. Awesome. Okay, guys. All right. So when you said confidence,
yes,
I want to talk a little bit more about confidence, because confidence, you've now brought this into a course that you are teaching.
Yes.
And it's called Mastering Your Authentic Self. And I love that, because it's also about how you walk into a room, how you command that room. Especially also with, I would say, networking or anything you do, right? Pitching an idea. If you do not hold yourself, everybody can feel that energy, right?
Totally.
And they're like, I can't trust that person. Or, oh yeah, I can totally feel they're very anxious or whatever it is. Energy doesn't lie.
No, never.
You can fake it all you want, but it does not lie.
No, it doesn't at all. And this really came out of the skill. I mean, I've always done dancing, musical theater, drama my whole life. I literally grew up on the stage. So being in front of people, I'm very extroverted. I love talking. I'm a Gemini. So, I mean, these are all like, things that are in my wheelhouse already. But really where I was able to hone this skill was when I would get in front of contractors that would pay to have me come in and do an 8-hour training to teach them how to use this app, right? And you walk in, Ariel, and they're just like, they don't want to be there. You're the last person they want to see. They want to get back out on the job site. They don't want to learn tech. They want to get out there and do what they're skilled to do, which is what makes the company money. And I have to not only engage them and get them excited about it, but I have to keep their attention for 8 hours. So it's really about commanding your space, engaging the room, owning the room is what I call it. Because, I walk in, I used to have bright purple hair, literally bright for like 7 years. I had bright hair, and I'd walk in and they'd be like, who is this chick? Like, what is she going to teach me? Like 60-year-old superintendents, just like, wow. And by the end of it, I was able to show them, if you do this, if you follow what I'm saying and the steps to using this, you're going to get home faster at the end of the day. You're going to be able to have dinner with your family, like really helping them understand how it's going to impact their life. That's it. It's just understanding what they want, understanding what makes them tick, right? So honing that skill, like training after training, month over month, year over year, all over the world. I mean, you have to walk in and you have to command that space. I call it, you get to choose, right? You said energy doesn't lie. You walk in, you can mirror energy all you want. I call that being the thermometer, right? The thermometer reads the energy, but I come in as the thermostat. I come in and I'm changing the temperature with my presence. So my course is really all about that. It's owning your own authentic presence to allow you to own the room. So whether it's networking, whether you're doing some type of training, whether you're selling something, whether it's just even in a virtual space, like how do you command your virtual space? How do you get people to listen? How do you leave an impression? When you leave a certain space, you want people going, wow, I really like her. She made me feel really good. I don't know what she was talking about, but I felt good when I was around her, right? People don't really sometimes remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. So the course is all about leaning into your own authentic way of providing that in any space.
Oh, I love that. I love the visual you just gave of the thermometer and the thermostat.
Right.
Oh my gosh. That was so good. Because I was like, I can totally see that now. Like, I got it.
Right?
Like I'm in.
Absolutely.
But, and I love that you have really figured this out and now are able to teach other people. Like, right. Not that you've learned it from a course, you've tweaked it. You've come up with your own techniques now.
Absolutely.
You've also done your own work on this, where you've taken your own course, taken other courses.
Yes.
And then now you're combining all these things that you've learned and putting it into one course. So is this a weekend course? Is this a couple of days? Like or a couple of hours? Like tell me all the details.
It's so exciting. I'm actually in the process of building it right now. I just did my first beta launch. So if anyone's interested in working with me, you get it at a really discounted rate, and you get to give me direct feedback on how to make the course better. I plan to launch probably in about a month, maybe about 4 or 5 weeks from now. So I imagine it's probably going to be anywhere from 10 to 15 different sections where we cover different things. So it's going to be videos. I'll have homework for you to go out and try things, like experiment with the techniques that I'm teaching you. And then I plan to have kind of like an open forum where people can come. I'll have like a webinar and we can all talk about how it's worked for each other and maybe gives tips and tricks. Eventually what I want to do, Ariel, this is like the goal here, the dream. I'd love to have a seminar where people are able to come. We'll get them up on the stage. We'll do live feedback. So it's like public speaking 101, right? Because if you can get up in front of someone on a stage, I mean, networking, piece of cake.
Yeah.
Piece of cake.
Everything else.
So and really I believe in the art of feedback, because it's one thing to go and do something and then you're in your head, did I do it right? I don't know. How did they take it? Intention versus impact, right? Understanding that, but getting feedback from people who are really trying to hone their own skill in that way and become more impactful with the way that they communicate. It's really, really powerful. So I would like to create a community of people that can do this for one another and just empower each other. through the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And it is something, the more you do it, right, the easier it becomes.
Absolutely.
Like anything you do in life.
Yeah, it's a muscle.
Yeah.
You just got to work it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember the first time I walked into a networking room, I was like, hi, my name is Ariel.
And now you're hosting them.
Yeah. It's totally different. It's a different command of the room, right?
Exactly.
Different thermostat.
It is. It's stepping up into a new domain. And I feel like for me, moving from corporate, which, I loved working there. I really did. Like you said, the consistent paycheck, the people that I worked with, like I learned so much. I loved working at PlaneGrid. I loved working at Autodesk. There was just a big change needed for me. I felt like, the universe was telling me it's time to go. A series of events happened very quickly for me. And before I knew it, I was launching my new business. So you just got to stay open to the flow of things. And here we are talking about an online course that I had created, that I'm creating. And for me, it's just staying in the present moment.
I say your class is like mastering your authentic self, and you are so authentic.
Oh, thank you.
You really are. You're like, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm happy to share you guys. Like I'm in beta stage right now. Like you're not trying to say like, well, it's coming out in 2 weeks and it's going to be fantastic and you should sign up right now for it. And all the things. You're really truly just like, hey guys, like come on this journey with me.
Absolutely. Come with me. Let's help each other. Let's rise together. But I will say to that point about authenticity, this is something that it was a really, I would say, hard lesson for me to learn. A really challenging lesson is probably a better way to say it, is I felt my whole life I really was just trying to, be perfect, or whatever that means, perfection, right? And leaning into what I thought everyone wanted me to be, or what the perfect ideal of me was. And in that process, you say yes a lot of times when you don't really mean yes. You are constantly trying to get other people's approval. And for me, part of putting on this course is really owning my own authentic self. And just like you and I, Ariel, we're very different in the way that we present ourselves. But just because we're different doesn't make either one of us better. I lean into my authentic Erica. You lean into your authentic Ariel. And the way we both show up when we do that, I'm not trying to be you. You're not trying to be me. And there's something beautiful about just being yourself. And like enjoying who you're being and enjoying that and not comparing yourself to anyone. So the course is, yes, you learn about how to have impactful communication, leave lasting impressions, all that. But the main thing is allowing yourself to really fall in love with your own authentic you and leaning into that. That is what the course is. And all the rest of it comes naturally.
Oh yeah. Once you are you, everybody, can see, can be attracted to it. It's like a moth to a flame, right?
Exactly. And no one can be better at being you than you.
Imagine that.
I know. Wild, right?
Wild concept. Oh my gosh. It's just so fascinating. All these things that you're doing. And I love that you are into so many different things. You're very into health, and you just got your Pilates certification.
I did on Sunday.
Congratulations. It's so exciting. It's an amazing thing. And I love how you keep challenging yourself.
Yes.
You keep stepping outside of your comfort zone. You're like, I mean, you love Pilates. So you're like, but still, like, let me go get certified in it.
Absolutely.
And then let me continue my certification. Let me just, you're following things that bring you joy.
Absolutely. And what you said is really powerful, like stepping out of your comfort zone. For me, I think of life in like 2 phases. Like you're either growing or you're slowly dying. Like it's just one or the other. And everyone loves a comfort zone, but nothing really grows there. Nothing really grows there. You have to be able, like a plant when it's growing, when people grow, like I remember waking up in the middle of the night with growing pains. I'm like, why do my legs hurt so much? I'm like, because they're growing. So for me, it's when I feel like I'm too stagnant or, I'm just kind of coasting, that's a trigger for me to be like, hey, let's step up. Let's step into something different. Let's try something new. So rock climbing is one of them. There's a different way of rock climbing other than top rope. It's called lead climbing. I just got certified in that. I got certified with my beginner mat Pilates. I have a mentor that I work with. She's also my rock climbing partner. She has her own Pilates studio. She's amazing. Her name is Bonnie Weaver. She works, her company is Synergistic Movement. And I'm going to be working with her now to do some Pilates as well. So just so many opportunities for expanding myself, and it's all connected together. It's all networking. It's all leaning into your authenticity. It's building workflows to make things work more efficient. Like it really is that. And it's mind, body, and spirit.
Totally. I always ask my guests, or a lot of them, that what's something scary that's on your calendar every month, because you should have something scary. And I feel like you take that to a whole new level.
Totally.
You're like, something scary. I have like 10 things scary on my calendar at a time.
Absolutely. I like that. That keeps me on my toes, and it actually helps me with time management, because if I know something is coming, like the release of this course, or I had the Pilates certification, I mean, there's a test out. It's not, you're not 100%, you're going to make it. You have to actually work to get there. So when I know something's coming and it's on the calendar, it helps me to better schedule my time.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that, but definitely putting a lot of pressure on myself. So reminding myself to just relax.
I love it. It's so good. You're like a mover and a shaker.
Yes.
And I'm like, tell me more, give me more. I want to know all the things. And I love that you are just a person that's come with me. So as that, you're inviting everybody to come with you. So where can everybody connect with you?
Yes, I have Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So you can find me on Instagram, Rica, RICA 531. And on LinkedIn, it's whatever that linkedin.com/Erica Gasbarro. So that's easy enough.
And we'll put that on the show notes and everything.
Yep.
But oh my gosh, this was so fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so much, Ariel.
You are an incredible person. And I'm so excited that you're now in my circle.
Yay, me too.
And that we are connected because it's just going up from here.
Absolutely.
And everything.
We all rise together.
Yeah, totally. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really appreciate if you can subscribe, write a review on the podcast. It really does help so much. It really is. It's very, very helpful. But, and if you heard something in this episode that you're like, hey, I want to share it with a friend, share it with a friend, share this episode, send it to somebody. Or you can, post about it and tag us in it. Yes. I don't know, all the things, right?
All of them.
We would love it.
Take them all.
And reach out to us and tell us, or just tell us your favorite part. You can reach me at arieltheconnector@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram. I am active there. I love hanging out there, and I love connecting with you. All right. We'll see you all next week for a whole new episode.